The top 10 non-GTA games by Rockstar. What's up, guys? Welcome back to TheReviewSpace. This is going to be a top 10 list, and in no particular order, really. Number 1, Smuggler's Run. Came out in 2000 for the PS2. This was developed by Rockstar San Diego, then called Angel Studios. Smuggler's Run was released for the PS2 in October 2000, and one of the system's earliest North American games. It's a fun and underrated driving game with racing elements and wide, spacious stages. You're driving away from cops, doing checkpoints, speed runs, and turf war competitive smuggling. Capture the flag type of modes. The controls are tight, and the game's police evading gameplay is a precursor to later Rockstar titles. Number 2, Manhunt. Came out in 2003 for the PlayStation 2. This was a great psychological survival horror game with sick, twisted, snuff film type of kills. Dark, gritty atmosphere with demented characters and good storyline. The sequel, Manhunt 2, is also enjoyable, but is not as well received as the original. Number 3, Bully. Came out in 2006, again for the PS2, but later as well for the 360 and the Wii. An action-adventure pseudo-open-world game that feels like GTA High School. Bully captures the feeling of post-elementary education, or miseducation, as you pick fights with bullies, play mini-games in classrooms, skateboard around the town, take girlfriends to the carnival, or just messing around with the arcade. This is one of those fond memories I have as a gamer. I hope Rockstar makes Bully 2 one of these days. Number 4, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix. Came out for the Xbox and the PS2 back in 2006. An enhanced version of Midnight Club 3. This excellent street racing game has an accessible, easy-to-learn controls, more vehicles than before, and have Tokyo as an added stage, more music, and more freedom than ever. This is one of the best street racing games ever made, and you can't go wrong with any of the Midnight Club 3 games anyway. Number 5, Smuggler's Run 2 Hostile Territory. Came out in 2001 for the PS2. Even better received than the original, Hostile Territory is a faster game with improved graphics. It's also more challenging than before, and the game provides enough excitement for that open country, off-road checkpoint driving gameplay. Number 6, Rockstar Games presents Table Tennis. Came out in 2006 for the Xbox 360. Being the first game to use the Rage engine, Table Tennis was an out-of-left-field success from Rockstar. Featuring smooth, realistic physics and various unique players, this was a low-budget purchase that offered good ping-pong action for the early 360 users. It didn't make Rockstar $1 billion in 3 days, but it set the standard for their upcoming games in the 7th generation. Number 7, Red Dead Redemption. Came out in 2010 for the 360 and the PS3. An expansive western third-person shooter with big environments and that classic high production quality of Rockstar's best efforts. Tons of activities to do and interact with, such as hunting animals, robbing trains, arm wrestling, camping, and horseback racing are just several of the many things that you live out in this classic period piece. And for the record, yes, this is better than Undead Nightmare. Number 8, Midnight Club LA. The complete edition, really. Came out in 2008 for the PS3 and the 360. This was a great 7th generation iteration of the Midnight Club experience, and now you get to race during the daytime as well because they have the day to night change cycle. Very challenging and difficult. Midnight Club LA offers many races in a realistic depiction of the city. Additionally, the portable version of LA Remix on the PSP is a bit downsized, but still considered a great racing title for the aging handheld. Whether driving away from the cops or customizing your car, LA has tons of racing action for weeks. Number 9, Max Payne 3 came out in 2012. PS3 and the 360. Great visuals and graphics, good third-person shooting, and a cinematic flair. Lots of shooting, bullet time style, and straightforward action, fairly challenging as well, and prioritizes the cover system to full capacity. Despite shedding the noir presentation of its predecessors, Max Payne 3 still delivers in high-octane action and badassery. Number 10. The Warriors. Came out in 2005 for the PS2 and the Xbox. This was a cool beat-em-up tie-in to the classic 70s film. The Warriors video game is one of those rare quality titles that do justice to the film's license. Stealth segments, chasing and running segments, graffiti tagging, and of course fighting other gangs and chaotic brawls make this a proper companion piece to the movie. It might be forgotten now, but at one point, the Warriors video game was the focal point of Rockstar's hype machine. This was a big deal back then. Alright, so that's the top 10 Rockstar games that are not called GTA or under the GTA franchise, and this just shows you and goes to prove that there are other titles out there, other games by Rockstar that have achieved success and aren't necessarily overhyped or shoved down your throats, not nearly as much as Grand Theft Auto anyway, and you might want to give these games a chance. Honorable mentions in this list, I'd be damned if I didn't mention it, would be a game like Oni, for example. Oni was a third-person shooter type of game that was released in the early 2000s, matter of fact 2001 I think, for the PS2. But it also came out for the PC, but it was more of a PC game anyway. I mean, it was primarily by Bungie West, and the port on the PS2 was just handled by Rockstar themselves. So it wasn't really a Rockstar game, but they published it, and it was the development of it was actually handled by Bungie West. Another cool little tidbit about Oni was that the cover and the artwork on the game cover was handled by Larry Bundy Jr., who is known as Guru Larry. He's on YouTube. He's a relatively famous video game vlogger type of reviewer type of guy. Another game worth mentioning would be Red Dead Revolver, which was the first installment in the Red Dead series, the predecessor to Red Dead Redemption. That one came out for the PS2 and I also believe the Xbox. That game came out at a time when there wasn't a lot of the Western type of games anyway, and did pretty good, and it was actually relatively well received, but it was outclassed by another game called Gun, which came out in 2005. I just felt like Gun was a superior game anyway, and it's kind of funny because Red Dead, in my opinion, I felt like Red Dead took some elements from Gun, you know, and they sort of adapted certain things from that game as well, so they were influenced, even though Red Dead Revolver came out first, way back in 2004.